Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit asterisk, asterisk subscribe, asterisk asterisk, and turn on the asterisk asterisk notification. Bell asterisk asterisk so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Emma stepped into the cozy cafe, the warm glow of the lights casting soft reflections on the polished floor. The buzz of conversation, the clinking of silverware, and the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. For a moment she paused, her eyes scanning the room, a faint nervous smile tugging at her lips. She was wearing a second-hand dress, her shoes a bit scuffed, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted the strap of her purse. The bright lights overhead felt too bright, the elegant atmosphere almost too perfect for someone like her. "Just breathe," she whispered to herself. "I promised Jenny I'd do this." Her best friend had set up the blind date, but Emma wasn't exactly feeling confident. She was used to being the underdog, working as a waitress at a diner to make ends meet, but she had big dreams of opening her own art studio one day. And maybe, just maybe, this date would be the beginning of something new. She took a deep breath and muttered, "Table 7, table 7. Her heart was pounding in her chest as she walked past the polished tables and neatly arranged chairs. Her eyes locked on the man sitting alone at the back of the room. He was dressed sharply, his dark hair styled neatly, and he was engrossed in his phone. This has to be him, she thought, swallowing her nerves. She walked over, forcing a smile, and said, "Hi, you must be Kevin." "I'm Emma. Nice to meet you." The man blinked up at her, a look of confusion flashing across his face for a split second. He wasn't sure what to say, but he quickly recovered, his lips forming a smile. Hi Emma," he said, a slight hesitation in his voice. He seemed surprised, but there was something warm about his presence. Emma misread his surprise as shyness, and with a nervous laugh, she slid into the seat across from him. I know, blind dates are weird," she said, her hands fidgeting in her lap. "Jenny told me you might be a little shy, so don't worry. I can talk enough for both of us." Liam, the man she thought was Kevin, opened his mouth to correct her but hesitated. His business associate had just texted him to cancel their meeting, and something about Emma's earnest smile made him pause. She was nothing like the polished socialites he usually dealt with, and for the first time in ages, her presence felt refreshing. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his lips. "Right," he said softly, "blind dates are something else." Emma laughed, the tension in her shoulders easing. She wasn't sure why, but something about him made her feel at ease, even if she'd made a complete fool of herself by sitting at the wrong table. "Tell me about yourself," she said. "What do you do?" "I work in tech," Liam replied vaguely, not wanting to reveal too much just yet. "Tech?" she asked, tilting her head. "Like coding and apps and stuff? I'm terrible with computers." "Something like that," he said, a smile playing on his lips as he leaned back in his chair. He found himself intrigued by her, not because of her looks, although she was undeniably beautiful, but because of her genuineness. It wasn't something he saw often. She wasn't trying to impress him. She wasn't pretending to be someone else. She was just her. As they talked, Emma shared little anecdotes about her life as a waitress, the challenges she faced with paying rent, and her dream of one day opening her own art studio. Liam couldn't help but laugh at her stories. Her enthusiasm was contagious. "You're not what I expected," Emma said suddenly, her tone thoughtful. Liam raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Well," she said, flushing a little, "Jenny said you were reserved, but you're actually pretty easy to talk to." Liam chuckled, feeling something stir inside him. "You're easy to talk to, too," he said. Emma beamed at the compliment, and for a moment, she forgot about the fact that she was sitting at the wrong table. They were just two people having a conversation, getting to know each other. She was about to ask him more about his work in tech when her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her heart sinking as she reread the text. "Hey Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7. Looking forward to meeting you, Kevin." Her face flushed with embarrassment as she looked up at Liam. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she asked, barely above a whisper. Liam's smile faltered, and guilt flickered in his eyes. "No, I'm not," he said quietly. Emma's stomach churned. "Oh my God," she muttered, standing up quickly. "I'm so sorry. I sat at the wrong table." Liam stood as well, trying to calm her down. "Emma, it's okay. But she was already grabbing her coat and bolting for the door, her face burning with embarrassment. He watched her leave, a strange mix of regret and curiosity swirling in his chest. He had meant to correct her from the start, but now, he found himself wondering if he would ever see her again and why the thought of never seeing her again bothered him so much. Let's take a step back. Emma, a waitress with dreams of a brighter future, never expected her accidental encounter with a handsome man at the wrong table to turn into something life-changing. Little did she know that mistake would lead to a story she would never forget. Stay tuned. As Emma hurried out of the cafe, her face flushed with embarrassment. She could hardly believe what had just happened. She had spent the last few minutes talking to a complete stranger, convinced he was her blind date. The awkwardness of the situation made her heart race as she clutched her coat tighter, her mind swirling with thoughts of how she had just made a complete fool of herself. Her phone buzzed again, and she glanced down at the screen to see another message from Jenny. "Where are you?" "Table 7. I'm here waiting." Emma sighed, feeling the sting of the mix-up even more. She could hardly bring herself to walk back into that restaurant and face the real Kevin after this. She had barely made it down the street when she heard a voice behind her. "Emma!" She froze, her stomach doing a flip. It was Liam, the man she thought was Kevin. He was standing at the entrance of the cafe, his face a mix of concern and curiosity. He was watching her, as if unsure whether to approach, but something about the way he looked at her made her pause. "Emma, wait," he said, his voice steady but hesitant. "I should have told you sooner, but I didn't want to embarrass you." She turned slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she asked, her voice shaky. He shook his head slowly, his expression serious now. "No, I'm Liam. Liam Parker. I'm sorry I didn't correct you sooner, but," he hesitated, then stepped closer. "I didn't mind talking to you. Actually, it was refreshing. I don't meet many people who are this real." Emma felt a wave of embarrassment wash over her again. "I'm sorry," she whispered, unable to meet his eyes. "I'm sure you're probably annoyed. I just messed up." Liam smiled, that same warm smile from earlier. "It's fine, really," he said, his tone soft. "I know this sounds strange, but I'd like to see you again." Emma looked up at him, surprised by his calm demeanor. "Why? After all that?" "Because I think we connected," he said, his voice sincere. "I mean, yeah, it was awkward, but there was something about you. You're different from the usual crowd I meet." Emma blinked, trying to process his words. "I'm not like the usual crowd," she said, her voice small. "I work as a waitress at a cafe. It's not exactly glamorous." Liam stepped forward, a glint of curiosity in his eyes. "I'm not looking for glamorous," he said. "I'm looking for someone genuine." Emma hesitated, feeling a little lost. She had come to the cafe hoping to find a spark with a guy she thought would be her match. But now she was standing here, in the cold, talking to someone who seemed way out of her league. "Look," Liam continued, "how about we grab a coffee together, somewhere casual, no expectations. Just two people getting to know each other." Emma thought for a moment. It wasn't like she had anything else planned, and the idea of talking to him without the awkward pressure of a blind date seemed nice. She nodded, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Okay," she said softly. "Coffee sounds good." As they walked to a nearby cafe, Emma's mind raced. Why had she agreed to this? Was she making another mistake? But something about Liam's sincerity made her feel comfortable. For the first time in a while, she didn't feel like she was trying to impress anyone. She was just herself, and he seemed to appreciate that. They found a small table in the corner of the cafe, a quiet place away from the noise. Liam ordered coffee for both of them, and as they sat down, Emma realized how different this moment felt from the chaos of her usual life. She wasn't worrying about bills or her job or her future. For once, she was just present. "So, tell me about yourself," Liam asked, leaning back in his chair, his gaze steady. Emma smiled, taking a deep breath. "I work as a waitress at a small cafe downtown," she began, her voice gaining confidence as she spoke. "It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. I've always loved art, though. I dream of opening my own studio someday. I've been sketching since I was little." Liam's eyes lit up as he listened. "That's amazing," he said. "I had no idea you were an artist." Emma shrugged, a little embarrassed. "It's just something I do for fun, you know, but I've always wanted to do more with it." Liam leaned forward, his gaze intense. "You should. You have a gift." Emma's cheeks flushed at his words. "Thanks," she said, her voice soft. "It's just hard to imagine actually making it happen, you know, with everything going on." Liam nodded thoughtfully. "I get it. Life doesn't always give you the time or space to chase your dreams. But sometimes you just have to take the leap. As they talked more, Emma found herself opening up to him in ways she hadn't expected. It felt easy, like they had known each other for years, even though they had just met. Liam wasn't trying to impress her with his wealth or his job. He was just himself, and that made her feel like she could do the same. By the time they finished their coffee, Emma felt a little lighter, a little more hopeful. She still wasn't sure what was going to happen next, but for the first time in a while, she felt like she might just be able to take a chance. As they stood up to leave, Liam smiled at her. "I'll text you later, okay? Maybe we can meet again soon." Emma nodded, her heart fluttering slightly. "Yeah, I'd like that." As she stepped out into the cool night air, Emma couldn't help but feel like maybe, just maybe, this awkward encounter was the beginning of something more than she had ever expected. As Emma walked back to her small apartment that evening, the streets were bathed in the soft glow of streetlights, but her mind was buzzing with a mix of confusion and excitement. She had just had coffee with Liam, the man she had mistakenly thought was Kevin. He was nothing like the rich, distant men she imagined she would meet through blind dates. He was down to earth, easy to talk to, and somehow she felt like she could be herself around him, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Still, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was off. Why was he so willing to spend time with her, someone who was just a waitress with big dreams but little chance of making them come true? As she entered her apartment, her mind kept racing. She set her keys on the counter, dropped her purse beside the door, and slumped onto the couch, staring at the small room around her. The faded wallpaper and mismatched furniture were a constant reminder of how far she still had to go. She was working hard, but she was stuck. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Liam. "Hey, it was great meeting you today. I know we just met, but I was wondering if you'd like to come to an art event I'm hosting next week. I think you'd enjoy it. Let me know what you think." Emma blinked at the message. She couldn't believe it. An art event? Hosted by him? She had no idea what Liam's job really was beyond him saying he worked in tech, but the fact that he had invited her to something like that made her feel both thrilled and overwhelmed. For a second, she hesitated. Was it a good idea to keep seeing him? After all, she had only just met him, and she had no idea if there were any hidden agendas behind his invitations. But another part of her, one that had been buried beneath the weight of daily struggles, was excited at the prospect of being part of something bigger than her current life. She wanted to believe in something again. She wanted to believe that maybe this could be the start of something real. After a few minutes of contemplation, Emma tapped out a reply. "Thanks for the invite, Liam. I'd love to come. Let me know the details." She hit send, feeling a flutter of anticipation in her stomach. The next week flew by, and before she knew it, the night of the event had arrived. Emma spent the afternoon nervously choosing what to wear. She didn't have anything fancy, but she managed to find a dress that, with a little creativity, looked presentable enough. When she arrived at the venue, she felt like she had stepped into another world. The venue was a sleek, modern art gallery, with large glass windows that allowed the light from the city streets to spill in. It was a far cry from the little diner she worked at, and the people milling about were dressed in elegant attire, sipping cocktails and engaging in highbrow conversation. Emma felt completely out of place, but when she spotted Liam across the room, standing beside a group of well-dressed people, she felt a little more at ease. He smiled when he saw her and made his way over. "I'm glad you made it," he said, his voice warm and genuine. "You look amazing." Emma smiled nervously, adjusting the strap of her purse. "Thanks. This place is incredible. I feel like I don't belong here." Liam chuckled softly. "Trust me, I get that feeling all the time. But don't worry, you're exactly where you're meant to be." Emma nodded, trying to absorb the surroundings without feeling overwhelmed. As the night went on, she found herself drawn into conversations with people who were fascinated by her art, people who actually seemed interested in her story. It was such a refreshing change from the usual small talk about tips and orders at the diner. Liam had introduced her to a few of his friends, people from the tech industry, artists, and even some local philanthropists. She was starting to feel like maybe, just maybe, there was a place for her here too. But as the night wore on, she noticed something that made her pause. She overheard a conversation between two people, one of them mentioning Liam's name. "You know, I heard he's actually a billionaire tech entrepreneur," one of them said, their voice low, as if they didn't want to be overheard. "Really? I thought he was just a quiet guy who worked in tech," the other person responded. Emma froze, her heart skipping a beat. Billionaire? Liam was a billionaire? She had no idea. Her mind raced as she tried to process the information. How had she missed that? Liam had never mentioned anything about his wealth, and she had never asked. But now, it made sense. The expensive gallery, the effortless charm, the confidence, it all made sense. And for a moment, Emma felt a pang of doubt. Was he interested in her because of who she was, or because he saw something in her that was different from the other women in his circle? She didn't know how to feel. Before she could dwell on her thoughts too much, Liam returned to her side, offering her a glass of champagne with a smile. "Having a good time?" he asked, his eyes sparkling in the soft light of the gallery. Emma forced a smile, trying to push her doubts aside. "Yeah, it's incredible. I'm just trying to take it all in." Liam looked at her thoughtfully, his expression softening. "You know, I'm really glad you came tonight," he said quietly. "I know this isn't your usual scene, but I think you're exactly the kind of person this place needs." Emma felt a warmth in her chest at his words. "Thanks, Liam," she said, her voice steady. "I'm glad I came too." They stood there for a moment, looking around at the people mingling and laughing. The night was full of promise, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was on the verge of something exciting. Maybe it was the beginning of a new chapter, one she never could have imagined. But no matter what happened next, she knew one thing for sure: things were about to change. As the night wore on, Emma found herself stepping out of her comfort zone more than she ever had before. Liam's friends, who had initially seemed intimidating, began to warm up to her. She talked to a couple of artists about her passion for painting, and they seemed genuinely interested in her work, asking if she had any pieces on display. She found herself opening up more than she usually would, sharing her dream of one day owning a gallery of her own. The idea of that future of her art being appreciated by people who understood it felt like a distant dream just a few hours ago, but now it felt a little closer. Liam, ever the gracious host, floated between groups, checking in with Emma now and then, making sure she was comfortable. He was different from the other men she had met in her life. He wasn't trying to impress her with his wealth, his connections, or his business savvy. Instead, he was interested in who she was, what made her tick, and what she wanted out of life. As the evening came to a close, Liam asked if she wanted to walk around the city for a bit. "I know it's getting late, but I thought maybe we could take a stroll. I'll walk you home afterward." Emma hesitated for a moment. She had never felt so seen before, so understood by someone she barely knew. "That sounds nice," she said, a smile tugging at her lips. They stepped out into the cool night air, the city around them bustling with life. The streets were quieter now, the earlier chaos of the event replaced with a calm stillness. Emma felt the weight of the evening lifting off her shoulders. They walked side by side, talking about everything and nothing at all. Emma laughed at one of Liam's stories about a disastrous business trip to Japan, and Liam seemed to genuinely enjoy hearing Emma's anecdotes about her job as a waitress. As they walked past a small park, Liam glanced over at her and smiled. "You know, I wasn't expecting to meet someone like you tonight," he said. "I mean, I invited you because I thought it would be good to introduce you to some people, but you've turned out to be a lot more interesting than I could have imagined." Emma felt her heart flutter at his words. "I'm not that interesting," she said softly, unsure of how to respond. "I just work hard, you know, try to make ends meet." Liam shook his head, looking at her with a sincerity that made her feel exposed. "No, you're more than that. You've got something special. You're not afraid to dream big, even if things seem impossible." Emma looked away, feeling a rush of emotion she hadn't expected. "It's just hard sometimes," she admitted, her voice quiet. "I have these dreams, but I don't know how to make them happen. It feels like I'm stuck in the same place, like I'll never be able to move forward." Liam stopped walking and turned to face her, his expression soft and understanding. "Emma," he said, his voice low, "I get it, I really do, but you can't give up. I see something in you. You're stronger than you think." His words hit her like a wave, and for a moment, she felt like the weight of the world had been lifted from her shoulders. Maybe it was his calm confidence, or maybe it was just the way he looked at her. But for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she wasn't alone in her struggles. They continued walking, the city lights casting a golden glow over the streets. When they reached the building where Emma lived, Liam turned to her. "I know this might seem sudden, but I'd really like to help you," he said. "If you ever need anything, whether it's advice, support, or just someone to talk to, I'm here." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected to feel this way, to find someone who believed in her, someone who saw potential in her when she barely saw it in herself. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I don't know what to say." Liam smiled and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to say anything. Just know that you're not alone." As he turned to walk away, Emma watched him disappear into the night, her mind racing with everything that had happened. She couldn't believe how much her life had shifted in just one night. She had walked into the art gallery feeling like an outsider, unsure of where she belonged, and now she was leaving with a sense of possibility. She was leaving with hope. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. Her thoughts kept circling back to Liam's words, to his kindness, and to the strange feeling of connection she had experienced with him. It wasn't just about the art event, or the fact that he was a billionaire, though that part was still a little overwhelming. It was about the way he made her feel, like she mattered, like she had a future worth fighting for. For the first time in years, Emma allowed herself to imagine a life that wasn't just about surviving, but about thriving. The next day, Liam texted her again. "I had a great time last night. I'd love to see you again, if you're up for it. Maybe we can grab dinner this weekend?" Emma smiled at the message, her heart doing a little flip. She quickly typed out a response. "I'd like that very much." As she hit send, she felt a little flutter of excitement in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, things were finally starting to change for the better. The days following Emma's night at the art event felt like a blur. Her mind was still reeling from everything that had happened, meeting Liam, hearing his words of encouragement, and, most surprisingly, feeling seen by him in a way she had never felt before. It was strange, almost as if the world around her had suddenly shifted. She woke up every morning with a renewed sense of possibility, something that had been missing from her life for far too long. As the weekend approached, Emma found herself looking forward to dinner with Liam. She couldn't quite explain why, but there was something about him that made her feel at ease, even though she still hadn't fully wrapped her mind around the fact that he was a billionaire tech entrepreneur. She was just a waitress after all. What did they have in common? But every time she thought about him, a warm feeling spread through her chest, and she realized that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't about the money or the status. It was about the connection they shared, something real that went beyond labels or appearances. Saturday evening came quickly, and Emma found herself standing in front of her closet, nervously picking out something to wear. She had a few nice dresses, but nothing she thought would impress someone like Liam. After a few moments of indecision, she chose a simple yet elegant outfit, nothing too fancy, but something that made her feel confident. She spent a little extra time on her makeup, doing her best to look presentable without overdoing it. When she arrived at the restaurant, she felt a familiar knot of nervousness in her stomach. But when she saw Liam waiting for her at the entrance, all of that melted away. He was dressed casually, but with a quiet elegance that made him stand out even more. His eyes lit up when he saw her, and that simple gesture made Emma's heart race. "You look amazing," he said as she walked up to him, his voice warm and genuine. Emma smiled, feeling a blush creeping up her cheeks. "Thanks," she replied softly. "You look great too." As they sat down for dinner, the conversation flowed effortlessly between them. They talked about everything art, their dreams, their childhoods, and their favorite books. Liam was surprisingly open, sharing stories about his life and the challenges he faced growing up. Emma found herself opening up too, sharing her own struggles and aspirations. She felt like she could trust him, like he wasn't judging her or looking down on her. It was refreshing. As the evening progressed, Emma found herself drawn to Liam in a way she hadn't expected. She was used to feeling like she had to impress people, to prove her worth. But with him, she didn't feel that pressure. It felt natural, like they were two people simply getting to know each other. They didn't need to impress anyone. They were just being themselves. By the time the meal ended, Emma felt a sense of contentment she hadn't felt in a long time. The night had gone better than she had hoped. As they walked outside together, Liam turned to her with a thoughtful expression on his face. "Emma, I have to ask," he said, his voice a little more serious than before. "You've been really open with me, and I appreciate that. But I have to know what's holding you back. What's stopping you from pursuing your dreams?" Emma stopped walking for a moment, taken aback by the question. She hadn't expected him to ask something so personal, but there it was, out in the open. She looked down at the pavement, unsure of how to respond. "I don't know," she said quietly. "It's just, everything feels like it's out of reach. I want to have my own gallery, my own studio, but it feels like I'm stuck in this never-ending cycle. I work hard, but it's never enough. I can't see a way out." Liam listened intently, his expression soft but unwavering. "I get it," he said after a pause. "But you don't have to do it alone. You have more support than you think, and I believe in you, Emma. I really do." His words hit her in a way she hadn't expected. She looked up at him, feeling something stir inside her, a mix of hope and disbelief. "You really believe in me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam nodded, a small smile on his lips. "I do. I see something in you, Emma. Something special." Emma's heart fluttered at his words, but she wasn't sure what to do with the feelings that were bubbling up inside her. Was it possible that Liam, of all people, could actually see her for who she truly was, not just what she could offer? She wasn't sure, but the connection she felt with him was undeniable. As they walked a little further down the street, Liam turned to her with a playful smile. "I don't think I've ever met anyone quite like you, Emma," he said. "You're different from the usual crowd I know. You're real." Emma smiled, feeling the tension in her shoulders ease. For the first time in a while, she felt like she didn't need to be anything other than herself. And for once, it felt good. They reached her apartment, and Liam turned to face her. "I had a great time tonight," he said softly. "I'd really like to see you again, Emma. Maybe we can spend more time together, get to know each other better." Emma's heart skipped a beat, and before she could respond, Liam leaned in and kissed her gently on the cheek. The gesture was simple, but it sent a wave of warmth through her. She smiled, feeling a little lightheaded. "I'd like that too," she whispered. As he walked away, Emma stood there for a moment, watching him disappear into the night. For the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of excitement about what the future could hold. Maybe, just maybe, her dreams were within reach, after all. The following week, Emma couldn't stop thinking about Liam. The gentle kiss on her cheek, the sincerity in his words, and the way he made her feel more seen than she had ever felt before, they kept playing on a loop in her mind. She found herself smiling randomly at work, completely distracted, unable to focus on the mundane details of serving customers or taking orders. Her mind was elsewhere, with him. It was strange, how quickly everything had shifted. Just a few weeks ago, she had been living a life of routine work, bills, survival. But now, with Liam's presence in her life, everything felt different. She wasn't sure what it meant yet, but she felt like she was standing at the edge of something big, something she hadn't dared to imagine. That Saturday, Liam invited her to dinner again, this time at a trendy little restaurant in the city. When she walked in, she was immediately greeted by the hostess, who led her to a private booth in the back. Liam was already there, waiting with a smile on his face. His eyes lit up when he saw her, and Emma felt her nerves settle instantly. She had come to enjoy his company in ways she hadn't expected. "You look beautiful," Liam said as she sat down across from him. Emma blushed, not used to receiving compliments like that. "Thanks," she said, her voice a little shaky. "You look great too." The conversation flowed easily, just like it had the last time they were together. They talked about their lives, their hopes, and their dreams. Emma was surprised at how much she felt comfortable sharing with him things she had never told anyone before. It was as if he had a way of drawing out her thoughts without her even realizing it. "You know," Liam said, after a brief pause, "I've been thinking a lot about what you said the other night, about your dreams of opening an art studio." Emma froze for a moment, unsure of how to respond. She hadn't expected him to bring it up again, but his tone was gentle, as if he genuinely cared about her ambitions. "I've always wanted that," she said quietly. "But it just feels impossible sometimes. The money, the connections, the space, I don't know how to make it happen." Liam nodded thoughtfully. "I understand," he said. "But I believe in you, Emma. You have a talent that's rare. And sometimes, all it takes is someone to help you get started." Emma looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam leaned forward, his eyes locking with hers. "I want to help you," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "Not because I'm trying to buy your dreams, but because I genuinely believe in you. If you let me, I can help you find a way to make this happen. You don't have to do it alone." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected this. She had never imagined someone, let alone a man like Liam, offering her something so big, so life-changing. She stared at him, unsure of how to respond. Was she ready to accept help? Was she ready to let someone in so fully? "Liam, I don't know what to say," she admitted, her voice small. "I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of your kindness." Liam smiled softly, his expression filled with understanding. "You're not taking advantage of anything, Emma. You have the potential to do amazing things, and I just want to help you get there." Emma felt a mix of emotions swirl inside her. She had always prided herself on being independent, on doing things on her own, but she also knew deep down that she couldn't keep going like this forever. She had to take a leap, even if it meant trusting someone else for the first time in years. "Okay," she said, finally finding her voice. "I'll accept your help. But only if it's truly because you believe in me, not because you feel like you owe me something. Liam's smile widened. I believe in you, Emma. You have my word. As the evening went on, Emma found herself feeling lighter than she had in a long time. It wasn't just about the dinner or the conversation. It was the realization that she didn't have to face everything alone anymore. She had someone in her corner who believed in her, who wanted to help her build the future she had always dreamed of. After dinner, they walked together through the quiet streets of the city, the night air cool and refreshing. Liam walked her back to her apartment, and as they reached her door, he turned to her with a thoughtful expression. Emma, there's one more thing I want to ask you, he said. I know we've only known each other for a short time, but I've never felt this way before. I want to be with you if you'll let me. I'm not asking for anything right now, just the chance to be part of your life. Emma's heart swelled at his words. She had been afraid of opening herself up to someone, afraid of letting anyone in again. But Liam's sincerity made her believe that maybe, just maybe, it was time to take a chance. She smiled softly, her eyes meeting his. I want that too, Liam. I really do. They stood there for a moment, the quiet of the night wrapping around them like a protective cocoon. Emma felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in a long time. Maybe things were finally starting to fall into place. As Liam leaned in to kiss her, Emma felt the weight of all the uncertainties she had carried for so long lift off her shoulders. For the first time in a long time, she was ready to embrace the future, whatever it held. She was no longer alone. And with Liam by her side, she knew she had the strength to chase her dreams and make them a reality. The following weeks felt like a whirlwind for Emma. After Liam's confession, everything started to shift in ways she hadn't expected. She threw herself into her work at the cafe, but now, with Liam's support and belief in her, she felt different. It was as if a door had opened, offering a glimpse of a future she had longed for but never thought was within reach. Liam kept his word. He helped her with everything, from advice on how to get her art into the right galleries to encouraging her to take small steps towards her dream of opening her own studio. He introduced her to people in the art world, people who appreciated her work and were willing to offer her opportunities she never imagined. It wasn't just about the connections he had, though. It was his belief in her talent, that made the biggest difference. For the first time, Emma began to truly believe that she was capable of achieving her dreams. But just when things seemed to be falling into place, a new challenge arose. Emma received a call one afternoon from her landlord. Emma, I need to talk to you, he said, his voice stern. You're behind on your rent, and if you don't pay by next week, I'll have no choice but to evict you. Emma's heart sank. She had been doing her best to keep up with the bills, but the pressure of everything working at the cafe, paying rent, trying to build her future was becoming overwhelming. She had been so focused on her art and the opportunities Liam had opened up for her that she had let some things slip through the cracks. She felt a lump form in her throat, but she swallowed it down. She couldn't let herself fall apart now, not after everything that had been happening. She hung up the phone, her hands shaking. I can't let this happen, she whispered to herself. I won't. Liam had been her rock through all of this, and she knew she couldn't hide this from him. She called him right away, her heart pounding as she waited for him to pick up. When he answered, she didn't waste any time. Liam, her voice cracked, and she took a deep breath to steady herself. I've got a problem. I'm behind on my rent, and my landlord's threatening to evict me. There was a long pause on the other end of the line before Liam's calm voice responded. Emma, we'll figure this out. You don't have to do this alone. She felt a rush of relief wash over her at his words, but it was quickly replaced with a sense of guilt. I don't want to burden you, Liam, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't want to be someone who relies on you for everything. You're not a burden, Liam said firmly. You've never been a burden. You're a friend, and I care about you. Whatever it takes, we'll find a way through this. Emma couldn't help but smile at his words. He had been there for her in ways she never expected, but this was different. She was used to standing on her own 2 feet, handling things herself. But now, it seemed like the only way forward was to let someone help her. She knew it was the right decision, even if it felt uncomfortable. Thank you, she said, her voice soft. I don't know what I'd do without you. Don't worry about it, Liam replied. We're in this together, remember. The next day, Liam came by her apartment with a plan. He had contacted a few people he knew in the real estate business and had found a solution. He didn't just offer to pay her rent. He helped her come up with a long-term plan to get back on her feet. They talked about her options, her budget, and how she could continue working towards her dream without the constant stress of financial insecurity. Liam's support was more than just financial, it was emotional too. Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders as they talked, and for the first time in months, she felt like things might actually work out. Over the next few weeks, Emma took action. She started applying for grants and exhibitions, using the resources Liam had connected her with. Slowly but surely, her art was starting to get the attention it deserved, and as her art career began to take off, the pressure of her financial struggles lessened. Liam continued to be by her side, supporting her every step of the way. They spent more time together, and with each passing day, Emma found herself growing closer to him. She could feel the connection between them deepening, not just because of the support he offered, but because of who he was as a person. He wasn't just a millionaire. He was kind, compassionate, and genuine. And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she wasn't just chasing a dream, she was living it. One evening, after a particularly successful art show, Emma and Liam were sitting on the rooftop of her building, looking out over the city. The lights of the city twinkled below them, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Emma turned to Liam, her heart full. "I can't believe how far I've come," she said, her voice soft. "I don't think I would have made it this far without you." Liam smiled at her, his eyes warm. "You did it, Emma. I just helped you believe in yourself." Emma looked out at the city, her thoughts racing. Everything was starting to fall into place, and she felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in a long time. She didn't have all the answers, but she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't alone anymore, and with Liam by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. As the months passed, Emma's life continued to transform in ways she had never imagined. With Liam's unwavering support, she was no longer just a waitress struggling to make ends meet. She was an artist, a creator, and a woman who was beginning to see her dreams come to life. Her art was now being displayed in galleries, and she was slowly but surely building the foundation for her own studio. The weight of her financial struggles had lifted, and she felt a sense of relief she hadn't known in years. But despite all the success, there was still one lingering question in Emma's mind. What was her relationship with Liam? They had become incredibly close, and the bond between them had deepened over time. They spent almost every moment together, whether it was helping her with her business plans, enjoying quiet evenings in the city, or simply talking about life. Emma had never felt more at peace, but part of her still wondered if Liam was just helping her out of some sense of obligation, or if there was more to their connection. One evening, as they walked through a park after dinner, the city lights sparkling in the distance, Emma felt an overwhelming urge to ask the question that had been on her mind for weeks. "Liam," she began, her voice soft, "I've been thinking a lot about us. About everything." Liam glanced at her, a gentle smile on his face. "What's on your mind?" he asked, his voice warm, as always. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air brush against her skin. "I don't want to assume anything, but I need to know, what do you see in us? Is this just about helping me with my art and my career, or is there something more?" Liam stopped walking, turning to face her. His expression was serious now, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made Emma's heart race. For a moment there was silence, and Emma felt a sense of vulnerability wash over her. She had never been one to lay her feelings bare, but in that moment she knew she had to ask. "Emma," Liam said softly, his hand gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. "From the moment I met you, I've seen something in you that I haven't seen in a long time, someone with passion, determination, and a heart full of kindness. You're not just an artist to me, Emma. You're someone I admire, someone I care about deeply." His words sent a rush of warmth through her. She could feel her breath catch in her throat as he continued. "It's never just been about helping you. I want to be with you, Emma. I want to see where this goes. You've changed my life, just by being you." Emma's heart swelled at his words, and for the first time in a long time, she felt the weight of uncertainty lift. She had spent so much time questioning her worth, wondering if she was enough. But in that moment, standing under the city lights with Liam, she realized she didn't have to question it anymore. He saw her, truly saw her, and that was enough. She smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. "I feel the same way," she whispered. "I've never felt this way about anyone before. You've made me believe in myself again, Liam." Liam smiled back, his hand reaching for hers. "You don't have to believe in yourself alone, Emma. I'm here, every step of the way." As they stood there holding hands, Emma realized just how much had changed in her life. She had gone from feeling invisible to being someone who mattered, someone who had dreams, a future, and a person who loved her for who she was. The next few months were a blur of success and growth. Emma's art studio was finally becoming a reality. thanks to Liam's continued support and the connections he had introduced her to. She was thriving in ways she had never imagined possible, and the confidence she had once lacked was now a part of who she was. But as much as Emma loved her work, it was the relationship with Liam that brought her the most joy. They grew closer each day, their bond strengthening with each passing moment. They traveled together, spent holidays with each other's families, and built a life that felt both exciting and stable. One evening, as they sat on the rooftop of her apartment building, looking out at the city below, Liam turned to her with a smile. "You've come so far, Emma," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "You've turned your dreams into reality." Emma looked at him, her heart swelling with love. "I couldn't have done it without you, Liam," she said softly. "You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. You helped me find my way." Liam reached for her hand, his touch gentle but firm. "And I'll always be here, Emma," he said, his eyes filled with sincerity. "I'll always believe in you." As Emma gazed out at the city, a sense of peace washed over her. She had finally found her place, her purpose, and the person she wanted to share her life with. Her dreams were no longer just dreams, they were her reality. And as she held Liam's hand, she knew that together they could face whatever the future held, side by side. As the months passed, Emma's life continued to transform in ways she had never imagined. With Liam's unwavering support, she was no longer just a waitress struggling to make ends meet. She was an artist, a creator, and a woman who was beginning to see her dreams come to life. Her art was now being displayed in galleries, and she was slowly but surely building the foundation for her own studio. The weight of her financial struggles had lifted, and she felt a sense of relief she hadn't known in years. But despite all the success, there was still one lingering question in Emma's mind. What was her relationship with Liam? They had become incredibly close, and the bond between them had deepened over time. They spent almost every moment together, whether it was helping her with her business plans, enjoying quiet evenings in the city, or simply talking about life. Emma had never felt more at peace. But part of her still wondered if Liam was just helping her out of some sense of obligation, or if there was more to their connection. One evening, as they walked through a park after dinner, the city lights sparkling in the distance, Emma felt an overwhelming urge to ask the question that had been on her mind for weeks. "Liam," she began, her voice soft, "I've been thinking a lot about us. About everything." Liam glanced at her, a gentle smile on his face. "What's on your mind?" he asked, his voice warm, as always. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air brush against her skin. "I don't want to assume anything, but I need to know. What do you see in us? Is this just about helping me with my art and my career, or is there something more?" Liam stopped walking, turning to face her. His expression was serious now, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made Emma's heart race. For a moment, there was silence, and Emma felt a sense of vulnerability wash over her. She had never been one to lay her feelings bare, but in that moment, she knew she had to ask. "Emma," Liam said softly, his hand gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. "From the moment I met you, I've seen something in you that I haven't seen in a long time, someone with passion, determination, and a heart full of kindness. You're not just an artist to me, Emma. You're someone I admire, someone I care about deeply." His words sent a rush of warmth through her. She could feel her breath catch in her throat as he continued, "It's never just been about helping you. I want to be with you, Emma. I want to see where this goes. You've changed my life, just by being you." Emma's heart swelled at his words, and for the first time in a long time, she felt the weight of uncertainty lift. She had spent so much time questioning her worth, wondering if she was enough. But in that moment, standing under the city lights with Liam, she realized she didn't have to question it anymore. He saw her, truly saw her, and that was enough. She smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. "I feel the same way," she whispered. "I've never felt this way about anyone before. You've made me believe in myself again, Liam." Liam smiled back, his hand reaching for hers. "You don't have to believe in yourself alone, Emma. I'm here, every step of the way." As they stood there, holding hands, Emma realized just how much had changed in her life. She had gone from feeling invisible to being someone who mattered, someone who had dreams, a future, and a person who loved her for who she was. The next few months were a blur of success and growth. Emma's art studio was finally becoming a reality, thanks to Liam's continued support and the connections he had introduced her to. She was thriving in ways she had never imagined possible, and the confidence she had once lacked was now a part of who she was. But as much as Emma loved her work, it was the relationship with Liam that brought her the most joy. They grew closer each day, their bond strengthening with each passing moment. They traveled together, spent holidays with each other's families, and built a life that felt both exciting and stable. One evening, as they sat on the rooftop of her apartment building, looking out at the city below, Liam turned to her with a smile. "You've come so far, Emma," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "You've turned your dreams into reality." Emma looked at him, her heart swelling with love. "I couldn't have done it without you, Liam," she said softly. "You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. You helped me find my way." Liam reached for her hand, his touch gentle but firm. "And I'll always be here, Emma," he said, his eyes filled with sincerity. "I'll always believe in you." As Emma gazed out at the city, a sense of peace washed over her. She had finally found her place, her purpose, and the person she wanted to share her life with. Her dreams were no longer just dreams, they were her reality. And as she held Liam's hand, she knew that together they could face whatever the future held, side by side.